Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third Thursday evening of poetry at Adrian's Memorial Library. This evening we have a treat for you. We have Gordan Riggs this evening. Next month, June 17th, we have Janet Stewart. July, we have Kathy and Carl Schmitz together. And at 6 o'clock, this is July 15th, not June, July 15th, Kathy will be doing her typewriter poetry at 6 o'clock. So if you come in early, you sit down, just chat it up with Kathy a little bit, and in 5 minutes, she'll bang out a poem for you. And then both husband and wife will be doing their poetry starting at 7. And then in August 19th, we have Celia Bland from Bard College to come and read for us. So tonight we have Gordan Riggs. He is a native of Poughkeepsie. He is very active in the world of poetry. He used to host at the Cubby Hole until that sadly shut down. And then he hosted here actually at the library for a year or two until, life got in the way and he had other obligations. So you're stuck with me. Unfortunately, Gordan was much more entertaining than I am, but this is who you get stuck with. And Gordan also has, oh wow, he did the back too. Look at that. Gordan has made some zines by hand. So they're all kind of the same in the middle, of course. But he hand painted these, printed some of them, and then painted them. And he just made these beautiful masterpieces. So if you'd like to purchase one, they're $5 after this evening's event. Or if you want to get in touch with him, maybe he'll give out his email address for people who are seeing this online, and he could send them to you if you were interested in purchasing it from him. So Gordan, thank you so much for sharing your work with us this evening. And if you all join me in giving Gordan a nice round of applause. Oh, and then after Gordan reads, there will be an open mic, so we ask that you limit it to about 3 poems. And then Gordan will close us out for the evening with 3 to 50 of his poems, okay? So thank you.
No pressure.
No pressure, no pressure. Thank you all and everyone, each and every one of you that showed up today and those out on YouTube land. It's an opportunity. With the pandemic and all, it sort of made my creative juices and muscles to get flowing again. So. And I have some people who were inspiring, who were at me to get something done. So, and they know who they are. So I'll just get to it. Here we go. Poe knows best evermore. Just letting you know that, folks. Just letting you know. The all-seeing eye. Well, I'm a Tolkien fan, but for good. Here we go. One of the first poems I wrote during the season of the pandemic was I was a park ranger and shipped to 3 different parks in the season, the Walkway, the Mills, and then Lake Taconic. And it was a rough start, as one of the sergeants said. So at the end of the season, the head lifeguard and the manager of the park, they rented out a campsite and then had a bonfire. It was kind of like that movie with Bill Murray. I'll remember that some other time, but it was the last day of the season, and this is Labor Day night. The fire that iron and gold needs is like the Milky Way stars shimmering above a campfire's crackle, chorused by conversations and songs, warmed by a red, orange, yellow glow. A season's end, a gathering reflecting on the trials and tribulations and soon-to-be adventures. The story is an old one revised, retold like the cricket's zip, zip, wolf's howl, as it was for ancestors circled in caves, open fields, and forest clearings, a sharing of our joys, pains, wonder, and creative fascinations. A union that builds a bridge towards a new tomorrow, a future carried by voice and thought. Labor Day night. The next piece, I was looking for inspiration, and one of the groups I'm involved with, they put out prompts. And I was at it's Dristy Tuesday night at my friend Sarah's, who's a yoga instructor and teacher. And she was by her counter, and she grabbed the first thing that was closest to us and threw it at me and goes, here's your prompt. So this is Black Mission Figs. Black Mission Figs. Black Mission figs are grown with pride, my green-blooded, pointy-eared friend. Golden are the gates to the city, or the entrance with the heavenly wanderers, that even you would find fascinating. In this state of mind over matter, a fact assumption that do not need or rely on truth, justice, and the American way, who, by the way, was an alien sent by loving parents to escape that doomed planet by the zealot thirst and quest for core resources that are and were not renewable. Black Mission figs are grown with pride, so celebrate the parade of a growing confidence and consciousness of a new understanding that Black Mission figs taste damn good. Again, the next is just based on part of a poem that was given to me, and just came up with the idea to share it. And what I was given was called Beams of the Cedar. The beams of the cedar have that aged, ripe scent of time, summer's heat of relics in the attic capsuled memories stored, and winters cemented in their presence when we sat to carol or pray. The beams of the cedar hold to the evidence of tears and sweat and toil of muscle and tool coordinated to create a place to gather. I wonder what forest from seed or acorn you grew, sprouted, strive towards light and water, earth, insects and animals, neighbors you sheltered and shared space to grow with. The beams of the cedar held their form well. Decay of the elements battled and worked with patience. Others joined the effort not to subdue, but to complement, and grew emeralds, red jewels in the springtime, and scarves of crimson in the fall. The beams of the cedar remind me when their vows shared and returned them back to the ash and element for which we share those beams of the cedar. The next is one of my mentors from Peekskill. She knows who she is. She really liked this poem and it said you should read this at a reading. So it's called Lady Liberty. And it's about a time with family in my younger days. Here it is. The gift of resolution, the first of 8 lighthouses along the mighty Hudson. And welcome home and bring me you're tired, you're poor, and you're hungry. Like John Lennon flashing the peace sign at its base, I held my hands upraised with bold conviction. When Liberty Island PD surrounded us, I was only giving my nephews liberation, allowing their first beady smokes under her torch. Did
you get arrested?
They it was right out of a freaking movie. You know, it was like, what do you got there, fella? And they just converged at like 4 corners, like didn't even seem to like right upon me. And I just like did like beady cigarettes, grown and made in India, you know. And they were like, you know, they were cool about it, but it was like boom, they're on me like a fly on you know what. So yeah, they were, and especially the New York accent, like, yo, what you got there, fella? It was,
What year was it?
What year? Oh boy, probably let's see, I'd say like mid '90s.
Oh, okay.
Mid '90s, yeah. Okay, something for the obscure and the outrageous. So here we go. This is called The Story, and I was given the prompt. The poem needed the beginning, the middle, and the end. So here it is. This is where it took me. The story. The beginning, the middle, the end. Oh, you know how the story goes. Goldilocks meets 3 sleeping bears. No, that's not the beginning. It's a boy meets a girl. They go up the hill to fetch a pail of, and that's all I remember. So it's about a girl and a Red Hood visiting her grandmother in the woods before she turned into a werewolf. After seeing the old gray gypsy wagon lady, who read her palm the twilight beginning of a full moon, Grandmother was worried about Little Red Riding Hood, walking alone in the woods. She heard a rumor about a prowling wolf, and little to her surprise, he was a player. Zoot suit and all with a slide trombone, a jazz musician from Chicago. He wooed her right into her house and bedroom. Grandma had to think quick, so she busted out her sassy can-can dress from her speakeasy days before Prohibition. And man, did he howl, woo! Please, don't eat me yet. Wait until the moon is full and you'll have me bare-boned, all without a fuss. I've always depended on the kindness of strangers. And she flashed him her trademark can-can dance move, 'cause Grandma was a looker in her prime and could still shake, rattle, and roll. So Howlin' Wolf was ready to rumble. Just as the moon peeked in through the window, hey, Granny, what large eyes, teeth, ears, mouth, hair, and claws you have. Is that part of a Mardi Gras costume dress? Now the hunter became the hunted. It happened quick. A whirlwind of torn fur, a suit shredded into ribbons like a ticker tape parade. It was no party. It was no disco. It was no 1941 Lon Chaney Jr. stranglehold damsel in distress fooling around either. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Do you too catch the drift? Good, because so did Little Red Riding Hood. She moves in mysterious ways. Red had been making her way to Grandmother's house after she stopped over at her BFF Goldilocks. Their friendship is a kind that is frowned upon generations ago. 2 young girls isolated in the woods, discovering the changes in the seasons, the birds and the bees. You follow? That's a Doyle Lonigan reference for you youngsters in the audience. 1973, something a bee or a hornet does. Don't make me go quint on you. You follow? Right, where was I? Oh, yes. Little Red along the way found a black book on the path to Grandma's. Apparently, the big bad wolf was a city slicker and had all his marks. Mainly widowers he would find in the obituary section of local papers and all. Anyway, Red made her way in just enough time to witness the carnage. And to her dismay, werewolf, or in Grandmother's case, werewoman, have a heightened sense of smell and sight. And yeah, you have to enter the twilight zone. At first, she smelled the basket of baked bread, cheese, strawberries, and wine, and then saw the Red Hood. Then all bets were off, and she bolted from her house like a force of unnatural nature. Even so, Little Red had the presence of mind to throw a wine bottle in time to cause a fireball explosion in the fireplace. As the Rosebud, or I should say a brownie, learning from her brownie adventure, she picked up some quick thinking skills, as did her partner Goldie, when they met in a local Girl Scout chapter a year prior, when their friendship had blossomed in more ways than one. Both girls knew the woods inside out from their many adventures, and this time Red knew what to do in the moment of distraction. She beelined her way to Goldie's and was about to have a rude awakening. Now, to set the record straight, Goldie was a squatter and a burglar. She hooked up with Red to case out Grandma's house because Little Red told her everything. Granny's late husband was an adventurer and a soldier of fortune and had received a Silver Star in the European campaign, where he met Grandma in France during her can-can days. C'est la vie. So, she has been around the proverbial block and experimented on some taboo aspects that Red, who was blossoming to the call of nature, was green and willing. The bears had enough of Goldie and her ways, strong of scent, and a cub to raise, went tribal and primal, and she knew by instinct it was time to get the hell out of Dodge. Goldie was a pinch hitter and managed to gaslight Jack, the opportunist, to plant a beanstalk and pirate out the giant's digs for the golden goose. Once again, witness to a beanstalk rocket, Red's parting words, "You gold-digging witch." Red Goose was cooked and high-tailed it across the meadow field with grandmother in hot pursuit. Human scent was the call of her wild, and bare bones are nothing where woman she may be, but girls in union? Never in her day. Discipline and ladylike culture must be maintained. Lady Luck or Murphy's Law? You decide. But there in the meadow field, the three little pigs were making their way, now the long way home, with an emergency uninvited guest. Saw, straw, twig, now brick, they laid huddled, and Grandma blew and blew and blew on the brick house. She wailed, just as those bricks rattled and shook. Red remembered her grandfather's silver star she kept to remember him by, and slingshot it right into Grandma's gaping mouth. Grandma, she twisted. She shouted. There was a whole lot of shaking going on. And in the end, my friends, well, you know Morrison's version. If not, Google the Doors. Well, as for Red and the pigs, the moral of the story, as Robert Crumb would say, keep on trucking. Just keep on trucking. The story. I'll partake with that. If anything, for me, what I felt was a poem that meant the most, and it was a friend's suggestion, like, if you want to check out a great book of poetry, there's the Gita and there's also the Bible. So I just happened to grab old edition, and it was from Genesis that I just, gave me an idea, and here it is. Where it is. It has been written that in the beginning there was a Word. Word is morning's rise, illuminating clouds, trees bark, birds flight in cobalt sky. Word is moonlight, single swan feeding, silhouette virgin snow dusting with crystals shimmering. Word is open blue sky, gray rain clouds trailing along Catskill viewed upon the mighty Hudson. Word is crows, craw, craw, crying, cry. Word is streams swirling and churning rapture. Word is bird song chattering, chatter and conversing and telling. Word is red hawk spiral ascent, then distant horse whispered, declaration answered. Word is heart thump, 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 pumping ritual pump, pump, pumping course in mind's eye, and echoed howls racing through forest and open field. The sense to gather together, make fire for protection and storytelling. Word is wind sailing chimes of grasses and branches and dances of leaves, twigs, transparent clouds gasping. Word is giving and knowing when not to take. Word is intimate sharing. Word is healing. Word is health. Word is transforming. Word is strength. Word is validation. Word is laughter. Word is humor. Word is music for the soul. Word is conviction. Word is hope. Word is courage. Word is humble. Word is service. Word is creative. Word is love. Word is heart. Word is mind, the distance traveled between. And the word is good, ladies and gentlemen, because words are magic. Thank you. This was after the election, after all the verifications of the votes and so on and so forth. And I came to a crossroad, and there was a couple with a sandwich sign and smelling and looking crazy. But what made it like profound for me was I locked eyes with the husband or whoever the male companion was, and it was just like, that's all, folks. And so this is what came of that. So here we go. It's called The Lost and Loony. The Lost and Loony, locked and loaded, drank the COVID Kool-Aid. Trumpets blared and drums rolled, those hill have eyes and wear the COVID-19 colored glasses. They view the world for conspiracy detection. War of the Rebellion, the sequel. It's a sham. It's a scam. It's a shame. Lost and loony, locked and loaded, drank the COVID Kool-Aid with Operation Warp Drive just around the corner. Warped minds drive the coop. So, fund and spend your last nickel and dime for this modern counterfeit of P.T. Barnum. This way to the egress, for a sucker is born every Twitter. And that, friends, is not fake news. Lost and loony. Lost and loony. This is more of a very personal poem, and we all have our relations with the friends and family. So this is brought me to like growing up with my family and a friend of mine who I grew up across the street from in my childhood. So it was something that he had said to me, and I just blurted out a Gordanism, and you figure it out. I know he will. Part of my puzzle. Whatever the poem tells you, ever forward. When in doubt, writing is what it's all about. Don't you know? If you want to be a satellite, you have to pay satellite prices. That was told to a friend when questioned about my process. Anyway, he wrote that saying on his refrigerator. Figure me out, figure yourself out. That, my listening audience, was my motto in the younger years. The young and the restless, and I'm not talking about the day soap opera. The urge to purge is upon us. Maybe that's why you have the friends you have, and conversations about living become spoken word in a library, cafe, or living room. It's the prompt that makes the change, the little difference to step over the line, cross the T and dot the I's. The decision to call your brother and talk about your dad. The undiscovered country of the life chosen and the mindset loyalty to you push and come out from under on. Getting real, way past the chit-chat and the play possum. Hindsight and clarity is being able to say, I choose this path and do not blame. And welcome the refreshing truthfulness spoken. More pieces of the puzzle are revealed, and the mosaic adds to the character perspective and development. Not the third-person angle of observation. Live from New York, it's the real time, your life. I hear the opportunity knock. The heart store and mine have a great tool called discernment. What is fact? What is fiction? Well, what is true and what is false? Death, the separator and uniter. The respect to showing the cards on the table. The lesson to stand for something greater than your ego satisfaction. The choices of loyalty to someone else's trip. There was value in development. It emboldens me to make another call to my sister, and not to reveal the plot. That was wise, Obi-Wan hid her from Vader, seduced by the dark side, but rather to unveil and ask the right questions and seek the solutions. And this is a calling to use the Force for good, to reframe the perspective lens past the white privilege upbringing. I only know my experience was not her experience. I choose now the good, happy memories, reminding my whole self to avoid the dark pull of the drama, the trigger of family. The focus forward is an attitude and behavior, not as a victim, but as a progressive grown-up, learning to live here and now, being, not hiding. Part of my puzzle. And this is another prompt from kind of part of a poem. But I find things since my parents' passing that have just, they've come back in ebbs and waves, and I was able to like help a friend along who is, his mother is, you know, at that point of nearing the transition time. And I asked, are you having the flashbacks? And then we talked more about that. And so this is about, I guess you could say, a flashback. Borges' prompt. Sunset is always disturbing, and the clouds cross over to block the sun's light to warm the inside out. The right side up, that place in the mind, heart, memory of when I was young, and the world held its breath for those still shot postcard moments of blue cobalt sky, pure, yellow, golden fire star warming my skin, alighting the pine emerald green of grasses and trees. Rainbow flower, the buzz hum buzz, yellow and black flying zebras, holding mother's hand in wonder of the setting painted of white, gray-blue Pegasus and sky galleons, streaking Jacob's ladder and more spectrum color rainbows, this time doing the darker shades. Then time marches on and life has lessons, opportunities, and losses. I remember these times and those moments alone, and your hand is a memory fading as the sun sets in its ways, just as your ashes settled. Bringing me down. All right, it's time to bring things up. What
is it?
You'll know it, Deb. CC and the cancel culture. CC and the cancel culture. This is time for the mic. Cancel culture was a hairy conundrum from the bygone days of Woodstock. That's what he went by in his lackadaisical lifestyle, earned as he could drift from town to town like a troubadour of old. Turn on, tune in, drop out, he did. But knew enough of the budding computing of IBM to stay linked to monitor the man. Cancel culture also was his handle for CB use in his enthusiastic way. He traveled across the country and then used it as his computer alias. He could never understand the pandemonium over the Timothy Leary vibe he would inscribe in his computer email and YouTube rants. Hairy as he is, he fit right in and was grandfathered into the local dispensary, where his brand is a one-hit wonder regurgitated. Turn on, tune in, drop out. Who cares about infringement policies and exploitation of the innocent youth? Free will and choice. Cancel culture had his say. CC on demand. There you go. Go CC. One of my favorite paintings in the Vassar Library is the Charles Corrant's Shadow Decoration. And Deb would know that there's a term when you are writing poems about paintings. And it's just one of my most favorite, like, inspiring. I always just or I'm taken by it. You know, you could say I'm in love with the painting, so I don't know if that's kind of a weird thing to say.
What's
But
the name of it again?
it's Shadow Decorations,
Oh, okay.
Charles Garand.
All right.
So here it is. The grace of Lady Liberty, homage and care given in that harbor to welcome your poor, your hungry, and your tired. She speaks of that gilded age impression, warmth of burnt umber, pearl radiance, light and shadows. Captured too is the rising sun impression, the balance of Zen reflected in projected blues, grays, magenta. I recall the memories of my first spring, the scent of flowers, trees, the fragrance of drying linen as we played pirates between the sails as we masked between her silhouette and portraits painted by the sunshine. Cloudless day, cobalt sky, her warmth and care, hanging ornaments of a different kind of Christmas. Shadow decorations. Do I have time? How much time?
You have 2 hours left.
All right, I'll do a few more and then let. Hey. For those who are part of the writing group that meets, I just wanted to, I hope you got the email there, Deb, about the. Oh, come on, where are you guys? I was unable to because I had committed to go to I was doing the Master Gardening sale, so they're given a list of words, and you got to make a poem about like 7 words. And I think cacophony. Thank you, cacophony. Applesauce. What else was there?
Loiter.
Excuse me.
Loiter.
Loiter. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
Mellifluous.
Mellifluous. Okay. Keep it rolling, folks. Keep it rolling. That's right.
That's a challenge.
Yeah. There it is. It is. It is. But you get the idea. So here it is. To be fair, have fun with them. Oh, applesauce and gravy! He exclaimed in the cacophony of the urban neighborhood. In his head, he strove for the mellifluous chirpings and choruses of the songbirds. He envisioned seeing once his trek would begin upon the rail trail and mountain bike. He had to check his provincial attitude as he rounded the corner of the foundation near the fence gate, where he watched for his beloved, another one, his beloved mountain bike in its occupancy beneath the balcony, like a troll under the bridge it once dwelled. We loiter in the winter in the apartment space and came forth in the spring. Now, only the real loiter knows as he or she watched from somewhere to pounce upon my silver, the high-hone away to the nearest pawn shop I go in search of. That's about my mountain bike being stolen. Thank you, yeah. So.
Did you say attitude?
Pardon?
Attitude was one of the words.
I had attitude.
Oh, you did? I'm sorry.
Yes, I did. I just added a little fringement on it, yes.
Sorry.
It's all right, we're good. We be good, we be good. Oh, where are we now? Okay. Dun 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 dun. Elevator do 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 do. Do 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 do. Ba da bum. Ba dum bum. Ba dum bum. Well, here we are. All right. This is another one from a kind of prompt. So, well, it's something I saw during the day, and just like it stuck in my mind. Sometimes how poems come into formation. It's just like you'll be influenced by something. And I happened to drive by. It was down in Wappingers, and it's like I just remember the horrible experience I had with the they were a theater group, and just I was treated. It was like ostracized, kind of pushed out. Didn't like but I still went to see the play and all. But here it is. Warm it up. I don't know why I even said that, but it was like it's but theater's good, but what they had on the billboard, it was like, oh man, it just stuck with me, and here came the poem. So warm it up. Until the curtain rises again, we will keep the ghost light on. For all the world's a stage, and we are merely players. Until the curtain rises again, we will keep the ghost light on, an obscure movie called Ghost. Well, before the Scarlet became the Black Widow, it was the ending of that film, the boarding of a bus to go somewhere, nowhere, the fated voyage upon the river of life. It reminds me about my father and his first wife's curtain call. He would wait at that bus stop, shared the journey with her as she ascended the bus, and waited patiently for her return that was no longer to be in this realm. Until the curtain rises again, we will keep the ghost light on, and my fingers to pen and page and zoom for the spirit and soulful musings to energize and compel this story to continue forward. Until the curtain rises again, we will keep the ghost light on in hopes that understanding could build a bridge back. And what can I say that cannot be unsaid? Perhaps it can be told in a way that is something of the living and a connection that was not possible at our parting. Yeah. Warm it up. Do a few more?
Yeah, or you can open it up and then end.
Come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever you want to do. It's your night. Gordon.
Yeah, it's right. It's mine. Okay, beams of the Cedar Company. Come on, you. I know it's not the season for it, but it's got to be done. And you may have seen the last movie, I think Jim Carrey did it, was The Grinch. But this is, from my days, you mentioned in the beginning, this is from my hosting at the Cubbyhole. So this is part of the Grinch series, Bah Humbug. The colorblind artist. The painter, poet extraordinaire, using all spectrums of gray and the multitude of tarnished green to be spoken, seen, but not heard. The red, orange, golden yellow fades like kings of old, hoarding treasures on thrones in the castles, staring, knowing that gold loses its luster where diamonds, pearls, and rubies lose their sparkle. But the acquirements must continue on. Do it for our children. Do it for the economy. Do it for our country. Do it for our kingdom. Do it for our God. In whom do we trust? Oprah? Montel? Maury? Geraldo? Springer? Dr. Phil? So go on. Be tricked or be treated. And yeah, thanks for giving your paycheck to paycheck, your mortgage, your life savings. For then soon 'tis the season to be cattled. Fa la 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 la. Merry consumerism, everybody. Buy, 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 so we can sell, sell, sell. Debts, illusions, lost expectations, and mass disappointments. And remember, folks, it's the thought that counts. That's right. That'll learn you. I will end with one and open it up to the glorious multitudes of those who are here. and use out in the YouTube land. And, oh, come on, you. Technical difficulties. Once again, I'd like to thank you guys for showing up, just being here and supporting it. It's the reciprocity that that makes it all happen, you know. And without it, I'm learning that you can be an island, you know, alone, but pretty soon you're going to need a bridge back to the mainland, you know, and that's the connection. And for those of you out there in YouTube land, well, thank you. If this, you know, helps in some way, shape, or form, it's helping me. So you help me all. Give me the reason to continue to write, and thank you for, it only took me like, what, 20 years to go. What's time anyways? It's all relevant, you know, or whatever. Well, I think I'll have to save that. Someone's going to show me, because I'm not, it's just not having it any way, shape, or form. Okay. This is kind of whimsical, but it was about okay. It is a recipe for something impossible. A recipe for something impossible. Hulk smash! Hulk the strongest one there is! That is, of course, first, find a military test site in the desert near an Area 51. Second, plot as a site for a foolish teenager wheeling in the dune buggy. Third, drive out to intercept him. Fourth, find the only trench and throw the teenager, Rick, first, then leap and absorb in the flash the full dosage of gamma radiation. Yeah, pretty sure that dentist having me wear the lead smock was done for most reasons and impact of something not welcomed. Next, let's see. Focus on self-doubt, be more introverted and shy, and admire from afar, by local standards, a stalker. Register for the science exhibition at the Osborne Laboratories. Check itinerary. Make sure that the experiment with the arachnids, the radioactive current, is flowing. Walk closer to Gwen. Be directly under the descending web of a spider. And then encourage the spider to bite you. Changing and adapting your DNA to the proportionate strength and speed of a spider. Or R.I.P. Stanley. H.G. Wells wrote a story of time traveler. At least he learned. And he could only go forth with what you have learned, not to try to re-establish and re-edit the past memories, for they are the foundation, the grounding, the building of a future. Quill and pen and candle and candlelight, where are and always will be a way to forge my wings of wax of imagination. Now that's a recipe for the impossible, for the sun's warmth melts when exposed for too long. Thank you, guys. That was a little bit out there, but I'd like to just to send this off with one last one, and this is for for you, for everybody, and it's a love poem to self, a love poem to self. Through all the ups and downs, the ins and outs, the mountains and the valleys, through the warmth and the cold, the thick and the thin, you have always been there, growing, healing, laughing and crying. And most important of all, you were learning. You were learning to embrace the imperfection that are part and parcel, the wabi-sabi, the Humpty Dumpty that had a great fall, and piece by piece still found the foundation to make the puzzle and the story that continues forth. Hot off the press to adapt, adjust, and redefine. Thank you all. Zoomy doo doo.
Thank you so much, Gordon. Thank you. So we're going to open it up to open mic. Stuart, I know you want to read. Dan, Carl, am I missing anybody who'd like to read? All right, so we'll go in that order. I'll read a few. Then Stuart, you come up. And then Dan, and then Carl. And if you just want to introduce yourselves before you start reading, that would be great for the audience out there, wherever they might be. So I had the opportunity to go to a Holy Mass today, funeral Mass actually. Somebody had died. And you know, when somebody dies, you always think of those who went before you, you know, your heroes. And of course, Jesus is my number one hero for dying and being so loving. But, you know, and then you're left with your family members who died in front of you or with you. And so it just inspired me to write this piece today. You gave me courage to die. You went before me. Your prayers were answered, Dad. You did not have to bury one of your daughters, just one angelic grandchild. Your mortal body freed of the world's crosses heaped upon you. Sometimes you shrugged them off. Sometimes you were doubled over in pain from the weight of them all. You died in grace and with grace, your handsome face highlighting the humor of it all. Remember when the doctor asked you if anything ran in the family? And you said, yeah, my daughters. No trace of bitterness, resentment, or anger. You died with a heart full of love. Your last dying words, I love you, baby. Pray for the whole world. And P.S., I'm happy to report that the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl every year. Those games are just not televised. And tell Mr. Tom Landry I said praise be to God, and I will see you both very soon. So, and now I have just a little humorous piece. I call it, He Said, I Said. He said, your poem was delicious. I ate it for breakfast. I said, really? Where is it? He said, in my stomach. I said, it was my only copy. He said, well, thank you for feeding me. I am full from those little morsels. Your poetry is very filling. If it were prose, I would be too full. What's for dinner? Perhaps you can pen me an aperitif and then compose a 5-course meal like a crown of sonnets. I said, crowns are meant to be worn, not eaten. He said, you're just lazy and you don't want to write. So, and then I just have like 2 little tankas. Song of Joy. A smile is a flower that grows from the heart. It is watered and nurtured by other smiles. And then the joys of spring. 2 lips in the rain speak about the joys of spring, and faltering they meet. So, Stuart, you ready? You don't have, yeah, you can take your
Okay.
mask off to read.
Hello, I'm Stuart. All right. Love is like a gobstopper. It's true, you spend all your childhood wanting that perfect, round, life-giving, never-ending ball of sweetness. You look through the shop window. Your mouth waters, legs shake, eyes go in and out of focus until the desired gobstopper is yours. You hold it, cherish it, kiss it, dream about it. Sleep with it under your pillow, wake up sticky, and hope you'll never be alone. But like all lovers, you want more. So one tempting night, you close your eyes, push it all the way into your mouth, and taste its wonder. Then you swallow it, choke, and die. Love is like a gobstopper. Don't believe. Don't believe in leaders. Don't believe in anyone who calls you friend twice in one sentence. Don't believe in people who always do what's right. Don't believe in people with religious place cards who stop you in the street and say this will only take 5 minutes. Don't believe in tax cuts. Don't believe anyone who parts their hair in the middle. Don't believe what you read unless you wrote it. And this is the last one. This mask mandate. Secret campaign to influence, achieve inclusive excellence. Another step towards normal. Restrictions, capacity limits, loosening up community plan, business rules, small, large rules, answering questions, obituaries, life, patience, and passion make for hate. There is hate, there is violence, there is intolerance, there is confusion among people we don't try hard enough to understand. Each other, we don't seem to realize that we all have the same basic needs, no matter who we are or what part of the world we come from.
Hello, my name's Dan. So I've known Gordan for, 15, going on 20 years, something like that. Been a long time, since back in the cubbyhole days. Now normally I overthink all of my poems, and as a result I write maybe 2 a year, if I'm lucky. But since I was coming here, I decided to write one in Gordan fashion, which is to say that I had 10 other things to do. I ate some Chinese food, I wrote this poem in 10 minutes, and then I came here. So this is Ode to a Poughkeepsie Gordan. Gordo, what's up, man? Cubby host, man. Always with a plan, man. 10,000 to be honest. He could lend you one if you need it. Join up for a hike, meditation, Pumpkin Hollow, run a few miles, run a few errands, off to yoga, off to work, carve the river-worn wood with a focus of the sun, blessed work for everyone. Plant man, green thumb hand, need some help, he's there. Lift some stones, dig a hole, drive a truck, need some love, you're in luck. Big heart, man. He knows what word is. Word is, he knows much more. If you can decipher a word of it, hop in the cipher and start to dig what's below it. Word is that treasures underground. Not all that's lost will ever be found, but not all who wander are lost. Some are storm-tossed, some are storm-born, made to wander. Wandering man, wondering man, wonderful man. Hey, Gordan, what's up, man?
That should have been the introduction, man.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmitz. How you doing? This poem started as a much longer poem, and then it went on 2 different evolutionary tracks. So if you come back in July when my wife and I will be featured, I'll bring my guitar. It's also evolved into a song, which is got verses and choruses, but this is the less coherent version of it. There is pitch up to my elbows ever since I built that pine box, so I could be replanted when I can grow no more. I've been pondering the velvet which I bought at a deep discount from the racks down at Kmart when that used to be a store. And oh, I must be going, the casket wind does blow, and my roots are calling, they're calling me to go. In this kaleidoscope of plywood, there are many shades of splinter. There are angles and reflections among the broken glass. There are questions left unanswered, even though no one has posed them, both rhetorical and actual, just waiting to be asked. And, oh, do you miss the branches? Do you miss the leaves and the bark that wrapped around you just like a sleeve? In the corner are my crutches, which I used to walk the tightrope. And I used to walk the low road and all roads in between. I'll be scattering the pavement from Memphis to Poughkeepsie, in the hills and in the valleys, the rivers and the streams. And oh, I will travel all across the map. Wherever that tar leads, there I set my trap. I dissolved it, I resolved it, I'm revolving in the orbit. I am following a satellite that was launched long ago. I'm excited by the prospects of training ancient insects to verify the taxes of corrupt and guilty souls. And oh, there's no accounting for all the things we've done. The debts are quickly mounting, and there will be no refund. With my triplicate donations that I mailed from the gas stations, of the highways and the byways of the vast expanding whole, we are driving round in clown cars full of jokers, queens, and rock stars who are plotting all their comebacks for the day we lose control. And oh, the best laid plans of both mice and men, they all go astray, but who the hell knows when? In the true and last equation for damnation or salvation, you don't get into heaven until you solve for X. By my pencil it is broken, and all my pens are stolen, by accountants mad with envy of my dubious success. And oh, it doesn't add up, not the way you'd wish. We have to recheck those numbers because something is amiss. And as actors leave the stages, which they've occupied for ages, they're ad-libbing every line as if they've never seen a script. And there's no use in complaining about the force of fiction straining. As the buzzsaw, it squeals louder with each log that it splits. And oh, we've been unplotted. There's no dramatic arc. Someone's turned the lights out, and they've left us in the dark. And frankly, we are all just sawdust, as far as I can see. We are all just sawdust looking for our tree. Thank you.
And that's it. If you want to take us out, Gordon.
Sure. Yeah. Got a couple for you folks, and these are just fresh off the press from my writing group, and just want to share it because it's, I don't know, thank you all. Shared. It was wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Dan. That was, made my night and the day. And my friend for helping me. Jen is a friend who helped with the zines and the publication, so heartfelt thank you. So, this is about, if I had a box in my head, what would I find? The box in my head I have wondered about, like changing the diaper of my mind. Some of those, hoping it really stinks and PU. The memory box had some damage, and over time was able to pull the toys out of the attic that were good, my rosebud, if you will. Now try not to take offense if I evade you, who read or hear this spoken. I'm only as sick as my secrets, and have the chance, the opportunity, not to close the lid, as Saruman of many colors did, and fall from wisdom to rewrite the page already written. What can I write about what I find in time? I found a tool called discernment. The archaeological dig was vast and had good help, good association to find it. That is when I remembered to use it. Who am I? What am I doing? Where do I need to go? I was a Toys R Us kid, and Neverland was the goal. But Peter's hat and shoe were lost that mothballs could not save. And Don Quixote relics disappeared. Blame that on puberty. With great power comes great responsibility. Asgard, Gotham, and there, back again, is Bilbo, and I go, and Frodo. One thing for certain I have pained and vowed to the best of my ability to serve others. never to open Pandora's box, for curiosity has not killed this cat. So far, so good. Okay, it was repeat the rhythm. And I write this in 7 minutes. Somewhere over my rainbow, there is a fascinating rhythm, fascination, in manner and way. I write, roam, repeat. Fascinating rhythm, you got me on the go. Fascinating rhythm, I had to say so. There's only minutes left where I have to find this connection. Somewhere over my rainbow I found the ruby slippers Dorothy intended to donate. The fascinating rhythm, it's got me off my feet. Fascinating rhythm, I had to say so. Ruby slippers, ruby shoes, the crazy thing is they fit my feet as well. Somewhere over the rainbow, hear ye, courts now in session. Once upon a time, roses were red, violets were blue. I had a vision, and it was sent down with a dream. Now that we have your attention, it's time to close on the rhythm and repeat. Fascinating rhythm, you got me on my bootstraps and strings to pull themselves up. Okay, the last, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. This was a challenge to just write and pause. Write and pause. So I was on Jen's steps writing this because I stopped at a friend's place and the Wi-Fi didn't work, so I had to bebop it across town to make it, and then I sat on the steps and this is what I wrote. I recognize this hunger. Comparison is the death to joy. I really like watching the leaves in the breeze, especially the Japanese maples. I do better when I breathe into the depths that my diaphragm can expand to. Follow the breath, the point in conversation made in nature by a stream in a park. Shadow Decorations, my favorite painting by Charles Courtney Corron. Those leaves on the sheets, now revealed before me, sitting on the porch stoop, writing and reflecting. I know I am hungry. I know what I need to do. Eat, drink, think. The raven spoke to me in a waking dream. He said, "Let me tell you about Poe." I really need to pause more often. I like the way she reflects and contemplates the next verse refrain. A blank page is best when you least expect it to be there, but it brings a new wisdom to write what is on your mind, through your hand, to pen, to paper. Thank you all for a wonderful night.